Well, also breaking this midday, New Hanover County has filed a lawsuit against more than a dozen manufacturers and sellers of products that use or contain those PFAS chemicals. The lawsuit aims to hold those groups responsible for decades of contamination of the air, groundwater, and surface water across southeastern North Carolina. The lawsuit also sheds light on the historical use of PFAS in firefighting foam that has contributed to the pollution of our environment and poses health risks to firefighters and residents.